While the rest of the country experiences load shedding, the city of Cape Town is able to keep the lights on for its residents. When Eskom announced the start of the power cuts from yesterday until Saturday, Mayor Geordin Hill-Lewis said that there'd been no power cuts in that city for at least yesterday and today. He attributed this to progress that's made in the city's efforts to get off the Eskom grid. But what can the rest of the country potentially learn from the city of Cape Town around this issue? Well, let's bring in energy expert Clyde Mallinson, who joins us now via our video link. Clyde, it's great to speak to you. Thank you so much indeed for making time. I mean, for people who aren't necessarily following the story quite closely, perhaps let's begin by you explaining to us how the city of Cape Town actually has managed to pull this off.
Morning, Ian. It's actually quite simple. The city of Cape Town has a very large battery, but it's actually in the form of the Steenbros pump storage scheme. So when they have surplus electricity at night, they're able to pump water up onto the top of the hill at Steenbros, and then in the daytime, when they need electricity, they release the water down and they generate electricity. But the best way to think of it is a big battery. So when I have load shedding in my home, I've got a battery and an inverter, and I get through load shedding. I don't experience that stage of load shedding to its full extent because I run my TV and my Wi-Fi and my laptop off of my battery. Now think of it as if the city of Cape Town has got a big battery and is doing the same as a household does, but on a city level. So they're able to use their battery. So when Eskom says to the city of Cape Town, Stage 2 load shedding, you must reduce your load by 90 megawatts. Instead of them having to switch suburbs in Cape Town off, they release 90 megawatts from the Steenbros pump storage dam. So from a point of view of Eskom looking at Cape Town, it looks as if Cape Town have reduced, in fact they have reduced their load from Eskom by 90 megawatts in summer. I think it's 110 megawatts or something in winter. And that's how they're able to mitigate load shedding. But they can't do it indefinitely because the pump storage has a limited amount of water in the upper dam. And so that's why they say they'll be able to do it for today, maybe for tomorrow, and then the next day they may not be able to mitigate for the full 12 or 15 hours of load shedding because they don't have enough time then to replenish the water into the upper dam at Steenbros. So that's how they do it, and they're just fortunate that they have a nice high mountain close to the city of Cape Town, close to Gordon's Bay where the Steenbros Dam is, and they have this pump storage scheme that is owned by the city.
I guess that answers my next question in part. I mean, obviously, anybody else in the country watching is asking why their own municipality can't reproduce something like this. But you've answered that in part. I mean, I guess there are geological advantages in Cape Town, perhaps, that aren't...
Well, strangely enough, the other cities can. In some cases, they could put in large batteries. So instead of everyone in the city buying themselves a small battery to get through load shedding, the city or the businesses in the city could club together and buy a large battery, which would then be used by the city in exactly the same way that Cape Town did. And in Johannesburg, for example, we could put storage in our old gold mines. So an old gold mine is a bit like having that elevation difference. You'd have water at the top and water at the bottom of the mine, and you could pump the water up when you had surplus electricity and release it down and generate electricity in much the same way that Cape Town do at Steenbros. So there are options for towns and cities.
Sure. From an energy conservation point of view, is the city of Cape Town's approach correct by staving off load shedding for an entire day, for argument's sake, let's say for 2 days, versus reducing that load shedding to several hours by being able to have that intervention last for longer days? I hope I'm making sense. I mean, their interventions, are they correctly implemented in order to make this last as long as it can?
Yes. Look, the best way the city of Cape Town can use its resource is, and when I say the best way, when we have what I call capacity load shedding, it means Eskom don't have enough power sources to supply electricity at peak load times in the evening. So often you'll see we have load shedding from, say, 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 9 o'clock at night. And that's what I call capacity load shedding. There's simply not enough capacity to supply the demand at that point of time. we also have what I refer to as energy load shedding, where Eskom simply don't have enough energy in their system. They have insufficient plant available to generate enough electricity that we would use in a day, for example. So it's not just a shortfall at peak time, it's a shortfall throughout the whole day. And what they often tend to do then is they use their diesel open cycle gas turbines to supplement power in the day. But the problem with those turbines is, first of all, Eskom can't afford to run them all the time. And secondly, the logistics of getting diesel to those plants fast enough it's not capable of doing that. So we sometimes have load shedding in order for Eskom to replenish its diesel, and also in order for Eskom to replenish its own pump storage facilities that it has at Ngula and Drakensberg and Palmet. So the best load shedding, if there is such a thing, for the city of Cape Town would be, or for any of the cities, would be 5 hours every day at peak time, where the cities each had a battery or a storage facility that would allow them to augment power during those difficult times. But that would then presuppose that the system, the whole country, had enough energy outside of those hours to top up the batteries again. And you and I know, if you've got a battery backup at your home, it works well as long as the load shedding is not too long. But if we have lengthy load shedding, you get to a point where you can't recharge your battery.
Fascinating stuff. Clyde Mallinson, thanks very much indeed for explaining to us. I really do appreciate your time on the AM Report today. Clyde is an energy expert. Live to us there via video link from Johannesburg. Once again, thanks very much indeed.